All right, guys, how's it going? Well, I'm back in my normal environment. I've not been too good the last few days, so I'm a little bit behind on things. But today I'm like, I feel all right, actually. I'm back on form again, I think. So here we go. So Pedro the Parrot was squawking yesterday. I know it's been discussed, but I'm touching on it because I think people like to know what I've got to say. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not claiming to be the first to touch on this. Right, first of all, if you don't know who Pedro the Parrot is, he is Pedro Sepulveda, a Portuguese journalist in Portugal with a Portuguese audience covering Portuguese football, but nearly all his tweets at the moment are in English for the benefit of Liverpool fans. I think he's trying to raise, awareness, raise his profile. That's what I think he's trying to do, because of this connection with Ruben Amorim, etc. I said this weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and I think a lot of people are now with me on that. I think it was a bit embarrassing a few weeks ago because some of the so-called content creators, the commercial content creators, the commercial Liverpool fans, were, that we've got Pedro Sepulveda exclusive interview tonight, but all that's gone a bit quiet now. So the thing is with Pedro the Parrot, or Pedro Sepulveda, however you want to call, whatever you want to call him, in my opinion, he does have direct contact with Ruben Amorim's agent. So everyone's actually slaughtering him at the moment and won't pay any attention to him. I think that would be a mistake. I actually think he is worth paying attention to. What I think's happening with Pedro is he's getting the odd snippet of information from the agent, but when it's quiet, he's then throwing out other bits and pieces and other claims out what are not coming from the agent to raise his profile, and that's when you start to be devalued a little bit, I think. I mean, take, for example, Born Again Joyce, right? At the Times, how often does he tweet about Liverpool? Not very often. So when he does, boom, it's like everyone jumps on it, right? Because you know that he's only going to say something when it's worth saying. And those that are constantly making claims fall into a suspicious thing. Does that make sense? I'm probably not explaining it very well, but if you're a long-time viewer, you understand. You got the crack. You understand. Anyway, so yesterday, he put this brilliant tweet out yesterday, or it's not called a tweet now, is it? It's called a post, and it's as follows. And I'm gonna say it in exactly as he has said this with his English, okay? And there's a reason for that. Ruben Amorim's agent bought an apartment in Liverpool. One of his employee will live there permanently, and then he's put them emoji, them eyes like that. You know what I mean? They've Diaz in LFC. LFC and Amorim are in final negotiations regarding the coach's contract. Sporting doesn't have any name to replace Amorim yet. Now, he has been community noted. I don't think I need to go through what community notes means again. If you genuinely don't know, please ask in the comment section and someone will explain to you. But in a nutshell, if you are community noted, it's where you can post something like this on social media. Sorry if it's not very clear. And then underneath, there can be a community note. I'm a community notes volunteer, so if I wanted to challenge any tweet that's posted on the internet, I could say, this isn't factually correct, and then you are able to then explain why, and then add links to something that backs up what you're saying and discredits the author of the tweet, right? If you were to do that on football claims and journalists and things like that, you'd be there all day. I've never done that to a football journalist ever, or any numpty on social media with regards to football. And Pedro is being hammered with the community notes at the minute, which, believe it or not, even though I've said, take it with a pinch of salt, I think it's unfair, to be honest with you, that people are doing this. Right, for example, there is a community note underneath that post that says, this user, Pedro Sepulveda, is known for passing speculation as fact to gain interactions. And then there's 4 links to articles there: Team Talk, Daily Mail, Football 365, Sky Sports. And I don't really see what the purpose of that is, because this journalist is making claims. It's up to us whether you want to believe that journalist. Not that's all journalists do all the time. Yes, I think he is trying to raise his profile, and maybe he is bending the truth a little bit at times. But isn't that what journalists do all the time? And I know some of you guys have commented, "Oh, I've joined Community Notes, and I've been Amorim and that." But if you're going to do it to him, then you've got to do it to all the others. Do you know what I mean? And believe it or not, I do think some of the things he's saying is true. And I've spoken to fans of Sporting, and their opinions on this journalist are split. Some are saying he's good, he's all right, Some are saying he's just full of shit. So I think that's what most of us Liverpool fans would think. But I do think that there is a genuine contact there with that agent. Now, the reason I mentioned that word for word English is the English is not brilliant, right? So we're not going to take the piss out of someone where English is not their first language, right? But people in the comments are having a go at him for that, saying, is English, for example, they've Diaz in Liverpool. What he means there is they have Diaz in Liverpool, meaning the agency. But ironically, Diaz, in my opinion, is trying to instigate a transfer away from Liverpool, preferably to Barcelona, but I'm not sure how that could happen because they haven't got the finances at the moment. But, Ruben Amorim's agent isn't going to buy an apartment in Liverpool because there's a player there. A manager, possibly, one of his employees will live there permanently. As a matter of interest to you, I'm going to, in the video description, I'm going to include a link to where Luis Diaz lives, an article about Luis Diaz and where he lives, just for information purposes, all right? So check the video description afterwards. You'll see a link to Luis Diaz and where he lives. What I am going to say in this video is that the bit where it says Liverpool and Amorim are in final negotiations regarding the coach's contract, I believe him, and I will probably touch on that at some point today. I can't at the moment, but I do believe that. So this video, I don't know why I'm recording this video. I guess I'm trying to catch up on it. Pedro the Parrot's making some big claims. I don't think he's trying to deceive anyone with that post. He's been community noted, but I think people have got it in for him at the moment. They're probably going to community note everything. I do think he has some dialogue with Ruben Amorim's agent, but I think that some of his other tweets or posts, whatever the fuck you want to call them, are just, he's trying to stay relevant and out there. But I think you would be wrong to dismiss him. And I think it's unfair that he's been community noted on everything. I do, even though I've told you this guy, do you know what I mean? Like, I try. If someone's been a bit of a knob or something, you'll say, don't you? But at the same time, right, all right, community note him, but you can't. No one can community note him and say that what he's saying is false, because nobody can prove or disprove what he's saying. So how can you only community note people? You're supposed to only be able to community note people if you can prove that what they're saying is wrong, right? And what happens from my experience of community notes is that the system can be abused. So especially when it comes to US politics, you'll constantly see, you know what people are like, trying to people that are into politics are like, especially in America, that do you know what I mean? The loop, it dictates their lives, and they just want to prove that someone's wrong. So if you see a community note on something, even if it's not football, don't just go with someone there that's saying, oh, he's known for this. That's not really helpful. Community notes is supposed to be, that's a lie. Here's the proof to that. It'd be like someone saying, when someone issues quotes saying, this is what such and such said at a press conference today. And if you know that's not true, you can community note it and say, that's taken out of context, or that's not exactly what he said. Here's the links to the conference in full so you can hear it. That's how it should be. Community notes isn't there to be abused, but it is being abused by people. So please, if you are a community notes volunteer, I don't think many of you are, it would be like me going on and saying one of the clicky journalists saying, this is a clicky. It doesn't really help anyone. Like, the community notes are there to disprove someone. Nobody knows whether he's accurate or not with regards the property purchasing. It's a very, very big claim to make. He's not picking that out of thin air. I actually believe him. I do. The reasons for that, who knows? But it certainly isn't to oversee what Luis Diaz is doing. So if you were representing someone that was eventually going to become the Liverpool manager, you might want to have a footing in the city, because it would also give you an opportunity to expand your operations into England or into the northwest of England or other players, not just necessarily Portuguese players or managers or whatever. So, yeah, Pedro the Parrot, yeah, he squawks a bit. Yeah, we know he's trying to raise his profile, but not everything he's saying is nonsense, in my opinion. And I can't, prove or disprove the claim about the apartment purchase or whatever in Liverpool. Like I say, I will include a link in the video description about Luis Diaz, because people might want to see where Luis Diaz's apartment is, because they might think he's close to him, or is Diaz selling the apartment? Do you know what I mean? So I'm just going to include that for information. But the one thing I would pay attention to here, Liverpool and Amorim are in final negotiations regarding the coach's contract, and I believe that to be accurate. Okay, that's it. If you appreciate the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please drop me a comment. Not the best of videos, I don't think, but it's kind of difficult what I'm trying to say while winging around things. If you want to get me a coffee, no, not a coffee. I'm not going to have a coffee because I can't sleep. If you want to get me a cup of tea or a beer, you can hit the super thanks button. I think I'm going to go to the football tomorrow, locally, so it'll probably be a beer. But if you're a Muslim or out, don't let that put you off. I'll have a Diet Coke instead, all right? But please read the video description, not just for the link to Luis Diaz. That's there just for you just to go, right, okay, that's where he might be, and maybe this, just to listen for future things. But read the video description, get on the newsletter. I'll be really putting a lot of effort into that when this managerial situation eases off. And connect with me on social media as well by going into the video description. Not a great video, guys. I appreciate that. When it comes to people in life, I don't like to see people bullied or singled out or picked on. Pedro the Parrot's not being bullied, right? It's not bullying, but I just feel like, hang on a minute, like, we see multiple claims every day and no one's pulling up those journalists. So I don't understand why he's getting singled out. Yes, he's trying to raise his profile, but I don't think he's chatting shit on everything. If he was, I'd say, yeah, he's chatting shit. So I'm just trying to stick up for the guy a little bit, you know what I mean? All right, leave it with you.